What's up? Kicking off another episode of the $1,500 build challenge G35 Chaos. Gotta think of a name for this car and this build. I don't know what the challenge is either. I guess it's a $1,500 build challenge. Anyways, oh, traffic. So this morning, my goal for today is to be able to drive the car. So I got a new lower control arm from the automotive store, which I probably could have got from a junkyard, but hindsight. So the wheel is completely smashed in. Oh, I forgot to do the intro thing. Stay tuned. All right, back to business. So the wheel is completely smashed in and broken and cracked. So I gotta get a new wheel. So I'm trying to hunt down a matching wheel, but if not, what I can do is I'll have to buy two wheels that don't match the set, and we'll run a mismatched set front to back. Not the end of the world, might, you know, add to the aesthetic. This has really got to be anything that'll work type of thing. So, but if I could get one wheel, that'll be the cheapest. That'll help keep my budget down, which is really what I'm trying to do. The other thing I got to do is I got to get a headlight. And that is going to be tricky because the G35 coupes have a different headlight than the four doors. I don't know, the last junkyard that I called, they wanted $700 for two headlights. That's never going to happen. They're 200 bucks on eBay. I don't want to spend $200 on eBay either. So I'm going to really hunt around for like different headlight options to keep this cheap. And we might not even have to stick with the G35 headlight, but I'd like to stick with the same sort of look. So yeah. Down to the junkyard, I'm gonna figure out what I can, well, it's not a junkyard, sorry, it's like a auto recyclers. So they are like a full-on parting out cars situation, car recycling. Anyways, looking for wheels and headlights, and maybe a front grille if I can snag one of those too. And maybe a front core sport if I can get one of those. But other than that, that's all we need. All right, back from the wrecking yard, I want to show you what we ended up getting. So we got these two wheels, very, very cheap because they are painted and scuffed and so seriously damaged, it's ridiculous, but fits the theme of the car, and they are cheap, dirt cheap. It's 30 bucks for the two wheels, and then 10 bucks for the two tires, I believe. So we're at 50 bucks for that. And then, because these were actually in a scrap heap, those were going off to be spare metal. Now, the only problem is I realized that these are 17s, and over here, they're actually running at 18. So I am a little bit worried about clearing the brake caliper and some other things like that, but we'll have to just try it on and find out. They are from a G35. They're just from the G35 that runs the little baby wheels. I'm gonna keep shopping. I'd like to find the right wheels, or something cooler. Headlight, 150 bucks. That was a big hit to the cost. We obviously have nowhere to mount it, but that's that. So that's our parts. Now this is our lower control arm, and I'm gonna get the car jacked up and everything all set up so we can start working on the install of this new lower control arm. All right, I ran into a problem. These wheels do not fit on this car without a spacer. If I run a 2-inch wheel spacer, I can gap that wheel out enough that it will fit on here and clear the brake caliper. This is a massive brake caliper. You can see how wide that is. So when you take that off there, the brake caliper sticks out quite a bit. It's pretty hard for wheels to fit on there. So I don't really want to run a 2-inch spacer just to get these wheels to run flush. I'd like to run a spacer and get them to come out. So for today, these are gonna have to work to get this car back to like rolling around status. These are gonna have to work for now, but I think I'm gonna keep shopping on these. I can return these, I'm allowed to return these, so probably keep shopping a little bit on Craigslist and see what I can find, or see what I can work with stuff in the shop. I got some options. If people didn't steal my damn wheels, I'd have a bunch of extra wheels, but anyways. Okay, so I'm getting the car up now. I gotta do some jack stands and some other stuff, and we're getting it lifted up, and then I'm gonna have to come under here and I'll show you around, and we're gonna go ahead and pull that lower subframe so we can get access to the control arms. All right, it's time to get under the car. This is the part that we're replacing. To come over to the car, that's what it looks like right now, and we gotta fix it. So I got the car jacked up, and then I gotta like back up over there, but this is not the most safe situation, but this is what I got. I wish I had like something to lay down on when I'm down here, but I'm gonna have to climb down here. I want to show you guys what we're gonna be working on. So this mangled piece right here bolts into this lower subframe. So that goes into the car right here, bolts up to that right there, and then maybe not right here. It looks like it was supposed to, but I don't see any bolts. I don't know about that. So anyways, same deal on both sides basically. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and unbolt this from the car in these few spots. That'll drop down this front subframe, which isn't really a front subframe. It's more like a cross member actually. I think I'm calling it by the wrong name. This should be the front subframe right here that we're looking at right here that connects the front control arm, which we can see is actually not bent. It's just kind of like at a sideways angle right there. That looks straight too. So I'm really hoping that it's just isolated to this one piece, which would be super rad. So anyways, I got to get under here. I've heard using an impact wrench is best on these because they do get really rusted and it's pretty hard to get them off. We'll use some 10 mil to get this plastic tray off and throw it in the garbage. And then, what the hell are these wires? Why are there wires under the car? I bet there's like some neon glow stuff going on somewhere else in this car, because those are not OEM. At least they shouldn't be. Anyway, sorry. Okay, so back to the task at hand. I'm gonna start working. I'll probably start on this side and figure out the right socket sizes we need. Here, 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 maybe there. Pull this crap off. Let's bust this thing out. Alright, so here's our front cross member. It sits in the car exactly like that. Came out without any issues. I love having an impact gun right now. I gotta say that is my favorite tool that I've added to the shop in the last year. It's really good for helping, like, I don't know. You guys know, it's a good tool to have. I would advise buying one as soon as possible if you're a car guy like me. I don't know why I went so long with that one. Only mistake I made when I was talking about those wires earlier. Yep, those ones you can't see. Now the wires that are, where are they? They're right there. They run up. Those were the aftermarket gauge pod for the oil temp and the oil pressure, and I accidentally ripped them out of the sensors when that thing fell down. So I will gently unplug them from back there and think about reinstalling them later, but they are okay to be uninstalled. So the next thing I got to do is start looking at this, and I don't know how to show you guys, but this big bent piece of metal bolts up underneath here, and I got to get it unbolted from there so then I can slide it off of there, which it looks like it's really not happy being on there. Slide off of there and slide it off of there. There. All right, it's finally off, so you can see the difference in what happened in that wreck. It's amazing force that hit this car to just make like a really smooth bend out of this piece of metal here. Interestingly enough, there is like a wave here. It almost looks like it was built to have like a stress point where it could let go. But how cool is that? So we got the new one, there's the old one. I'll go ahead and put the new one in, and you can see that now the suspension has, I don't know if you can see in the video, but it's definitely now able to kind of come back to where it belongs. Maybe I can show you better this way. Nope, can't. I suck at this. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead now. That bolt that comes out of the frame right there is nice and straight still. It's not bent, and that's what this thing was hanging on, and then it goes into the knuckle over here. So we'll get it plugged in, and then we gotta go ahead and replace this guy. But I'm really excited. If we get this thing plugged in and this thing kind of looks straight enough, we're back in business. It's all finished. Got that cross member back in. This is roughly in the middle now, which is more like the place where it's supposed to be. That lower one looks like it is actually a little bit bent, a little bit out to that side, but it doesn't look like it's going to affect anything. It looks like it bent just at the end there, and it's happy enough being where it is. Subframe's not bent, that's good. Cross member's not bent, that's good. So essentially the frame part of the car that holds it all together is not actually bent, and then the front impact bar is not bent. So I'm calling this thing safe enough for me to drive. That's that. Now I want to figure out wheels. The wheels that I bought aren't the right size. It's time to do some browsing. Working on the ground out there is brutal. I got lots of pine cones in my nether regions. I just realized something pretty important. My gloves ripped. No, I don't think I have a title for this car. I bought it, and it's, I got to figure out where the title is, or else this road trip's gonna get quite difficult. I either need a title or a bill of sale or something. Normally they put them in the car, but I don't remember seeing that. So I gotta make a couple calls. Before I go online wheel shopping, I gotta figure out where this title is. All right, good news, found the title. Sorry for that little sidestep, but that is important. Gotta have title, gotta have a trip permit and insurance, which I've got all of that stuff now, so woohoo, we're ready to roll on that. Next thing is, if I wanna go on a joyride, I gotta get some wheels. So I'm gonna jump on all the usual suspects for browsing around and see if I can't find some wheels and tires. All right, early morning, but we're getting off to a really good start. So I drove way off into the middle of nowhere. I'm like in suburbia, middle of nowhere, and I got way too many wheels and tires, but I had some different thoughts. So I put some of the old Mustang rims in the back here. I was gonna go and try and get tires on those. I got the other ones that I got to return in the back, and then I found a set of wheels on Craigslist off of a car that was being parted out that I believe are an exact match for my car. These Infinitis actually have a bunch of different wheel options that come from really similar miles, years of car. But I'm pretty confident that we're all set now. So now I'm on my way back to the wrecking yard to return the set of 2 black ones. And these ones are even better deal because I got it for, I got the one wheel that I needed for 60 bucks, and then the dude threw in one that was super curb rash and damage for another, for free. So I got 60 bucks for essentially 2 wheels, and one has a really good tire on it. All right, so I got to return that stuff, and then I'm back to the shop. All right, the wheel problem was a long and tedious one, but I'm super happy that we did this on a budget. Sometimes being on a budget takes a lot more time than just doing something quickly. $60 for that wheel, free. Is that not the most curb rash wheel you've ever seen in your life? I have a feeling what happened is in the accident they must have hit some sort of wall or something, but treating this as a spare, even though the car does have a spare as well, but it's a small size donut. So this is gonna go on that wheel right there, and we got all the other ones, so it's time to go ahead and do that. And we gotta top off the power steering fluid. This hose came undone in the wreck right here, it just got kind of pulled away. So I put it back on there already, and then we will go ahead and fill the system up so it doesn't have any air going through it or anything like that. Well, it's never easy. I was moving this thing around trying to figure out what I was gonna do, and I found out there is a tear in the line right here. This line has a little bit of slack in it already, so I may just cut it right there and move it up, but one way or another I gotta figure out how to repair this line or replace it before we can go driving. That was a straight up power steering massacre. I'm sorry, Mother Nature got power steering fluid. I think it's highly like detergent, so it's kind of like soap anyways. But we ended up just trimming the hose because I didn't have any hose here to replace this piece. But if I ever do need to later, I can just do a straight shot. This is obviously not in the right spot anymore. And I'm gonna have to check this wheel for clearance later on. But for this drive, we got it nicely zip tied up there, and then that's run into there, and it seems to be holding. So we're good there. I think I did something else. Check the water, we're good there. The fans aren't gonna operate because this wire bundle right there that's got snipped in the accident, that goes to the fan power wires, you can see right there and there. So I'll know that going into it, I gotta stay rolling. But this is just gonna be a low speed test anyways, so there won't be a lot of air going through the radiator. But I'll work it out, it'll be fine. All right, time to kick it on and get out of here. All right, it's time for the maiden voyage. One thing that I don't know about this car that I'm really interested in seeing is how many miles are on it, because the battery was snipped, and so we couldn't see how many miles. There we are, 101,000 miles. That ain't bad. We got a little bit of gas in here. Let's try and start it up. Nothing. Damn, I thought that battery was a good battery. I'm locked in the car. What kind of death trap is this? Forgot to push the clutch in. That's probably why I didn't want to start. That's when you know you've been driving automatics too long. Okay, so I'm gonna put the window down so I can get out of the car, and I think we're ready to start this journey. Power steering pump's making a couple noises. All right, if you hear your power steering pump whining like that, it's from little air bubbles that are inside the lines. You got to add more fluid, and it'll kind of work its way out. E-brakes off, first gear, let's give this a shot. And we're off. Brake test. Uh-oh, cops. At least I have a left headlight so I can turn left. That cop was on no fucks given mode. He's just... Alright. Well, it smells like burning. I'd love to turn now. Alright. Welcome to our vehicle testing center, also known as a giant parking lot. What can I say so far? I'm going to go through some water to cool down whatever nonsense we had going on. Something I need to know about this car. Inside the dash, it says slip. Let me know what that means. It says VDC off. Let me know what that means. And that's all. There's also a VDC off button, which is like, so I'm assuming that's the traction control. Yeah. So one wheel over on the right is the one that we fixed. It's cambered. It's super cambered. Let me see how we're going as far as alignment. I mean, it's running, it's driving. The clutch feels nice. It's a nice heavy clutch. Most likely been replaced in the 100,000 miles. It feels real good. So let's do a little straight thing. So my wheel has to be like cocked 90 degrees halfway, which is not good. Oh, it doesn't actually matter. Anyway, so I'm gonna go hands off. We're not really turning that bad. A little bit. I've heard some pretty massive clunks. I'm gonna see if I'll go over some speed bumps. I think what it is, here's a bump, nothing. I think what it is that lower control arm that is a little bit bent. The bushing's basically totaled on that thing. And the front right lower control arm, the one that we didn't replace. There's two control arms on this car. Okay, speed bump, I'm gonna hit at a reasonable speed here. Yeah, so you heard that out of the front right. A little bit of a clunk there. I think it's just coming from that control arm with no bushing. If we have it in the budget later on, I'll replace that, especially if I can find one cheap, because the more kind of involved lower control arm, the one that like looks like a harder piece to make, only costs $80, 80 something. So man, if we could get that for like 40, it's probably worth fixing it. But so far, I mean, this is pretty fun, right? Man, yeah, that thing's popping and skipping. We'll probably need to fix that, especially if we want to try and drift this thing at all, because it might just cause us to understeer a lot. You can just hear it clanking around. I'm gonna do a quick brake test. Locked them up, no ABS. Oh, I saw a lot of smoke. That might be brake fluid. I'm gonna jump out and check that, just in case. So if we are squirting out brake fluid, that's a bad thing. Very hard to tell because there's water all over there, because I did drive through a puddle, so still dripping. But the brake fluid reservoir is exactly where I started with it. So with the amount of stopping I've done now, I think that would have at least lowered if we had a leak. So that's good. I'm gonna see if we can jump on this little bitty highway here. We can. Let's give her the business. The minor business. Slow it down a little bit so I can give it. Stupid light. Feels good. It's oddly straight. There's a giant sticker in front of my face. It's quite annoying. Yeah, the brakes feel like crap in this car. I'm gonna have to get used to that, but they do work. Got my hand signals going. I'm not sure if I'm doing them right. I just throw my arm up every time I turn right. I figure like straight out left would be left because it's kind of like pointing the way you're turning. So I figure straight up would just be like, hey, I'm going right. But I don't know. I know it's one of those two. All right, we got some corners here. This will be fun going through the mountain passes on the way to California. Just white knuckling it. I'll get that lower control arm fixed. It's just it's going to be the bushing, and it's a little bit bent, but it's worth fixing. What a great car. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of falling in love with this car a little bit already. I didn't want that to happen. I can't have another car, but it's just something about the journey that it's like been so short. I've worked on this car, had it for 3 days. I'm lost, by the way. I don't know where I am. I've had it for like 3 days. Been working on it for like 3 days, but I really, really like it already. One of these switches in here is going to turn on this gauge pod, but I just have no idea which one it is. Oh, I popped the trunk. I love new cars. I just ran over something major. Jesus, what did I leave in the street? There's a lot. I gotta just drive away. Drive away. What the fuck was that? Zero to 45 pole. Do it for the video. Slow. All right. Well, I found out where I am. I'm on my way back to the shop. That is it for this test drive. Let's get back to the shop. As a little bonus, I put a jumper pack on this car and been letting it charge up for a little bit. So my hope is that I'll actually have a little bit of battery power. I'm gonna go ahead and try and give it a start. I need to pull it out temporarily for us to put the Infinity in here. And it'd be nice to hear it run. There we go. Give it time, one more try. Don't be a bitch about it! There we go. See you guys later. Room for activities. All right. I want to bring the Infinity in, but first, this company, Ranger Products, sent me something called a Quickjack. They're really cool. They're like, you don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to, but I would like to because I don't often just show up with these nice things. So big thanks to them for sending that to me. I'll put a link to their website in the description. It is a hydraulic lift that's going to lift the car up for me, and I want to install it right about here so we can work on the front of the car, maybe outside a little bit when it's sunny out, and we can work on the cars over here too. So it's mobile. We can move it around. When we go back to the BRZ, we'll probably switch it right back over there. But for the time being, I'm thinking right here is a good install spot. So I got Chelsea here to help me, and we're going to go ahead and try and set it up right here and then bring the car out and then lift it. That was pretty damn cool. I'm really happy to have that. All right, guys, that's where I'm going to end this episode. In the next episode, we got to start transforming this thing into something cool, and that's where it's going to get apocalyptic themed. We also need to weld the diff, but that may come later. I'm not really sure. Oh, and I want to do that control arm. So we got good stuff coming. This episode was proudly sponsored by Copart. Copart is the premier automotive auction website, in my opinion, for used, salvaged, repo, cars, boats, snowmobiles, vans, tour buses, whatever you need to find, it's probably on Copart. If you head over to copart.com/B is for build, that is my referral link. Head over there, check it out, browse Copart. I got this thing on there for $1,300. Pretty damn good deal. So yeah, head it over, link in the description as well, but it's copart.com/B is for build. So thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. Yeah, and the next episode, you got that. If you like B is for build, you want to help out and support, head over to bsforbuild.com, scroll down to the shop, pick yourself up a key tag or a hat like this, and we have, Chelsea, throw me that key tag. Woo! We got the new Built Not Bought key tags in the shop right now, and these are pretty awesome. And yeah, so all the proceeds of that go directly into these builds. And thank you guys all so much that have already done that. If you want to find us at more places, we are B is for Build on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the good stuff. Head over there, follow us, see some behind the scenes goodness. All right, that's it, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Please remember to like and subscribe. Peace!